All right, let's take this time to make another copy. So we're going to end up with a bunch of these copies, but I'll show you the kind of coolness about doing this. I think it really helps me anyways. So I want to be honest with what I think is right to share, because if it helps me, then hopefully it'll help you as well. All right, so back to our original one, and I think this needs some more contrast to really start making it pop. And one of the ways that I like to paint is adding contrast, because it shows me other things about the painting. So let me show you what I mean here, hopefully. Let's do a little bit of a darker tone. Let's take the same smooth watercolor, select here. Let's grab something darker and test it. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, and you know what? Actually, I'm going to grab the airbrush and show you the shadow effect. So we've got lock transparency on still. I'm going to just softly brush in some more shadow. Another thing to keep in mind, to make something look larger in presence, shade the bottom up. Give it a bit of shadowing at the bottom. Will always make something look a bit larger. Not sure why that is, but that's the way it is. Okay, so there's a little bit more of it. Now I'll go to the smooth watercolor and brush in some more solid bits of it and blend it out. Keep in mind that I'm resizing the brush with the bracket keys on the keyboard. Left-handed, and I keep my right hand on the keyboard and my left hand on the screen the entire time. So I want to try to explain as much of the process as possible. So a lot of times I'll say little details like that, because I just want to give you the most information to help you with the process. One of the things I wanted to make mention of as well is, if you don't feel like you're getting the same results that I'm getting, well, for one, don't think of it in the speed regard, because I might have been doing this longer than you, so that's going to limit my speed. But that's not what I'm talking about. If you feel like, for instance, if you go to put down, right now I'm softly pushing. I'm pushing probably 30%, maybe 20% of my pressure. There's 50%. There's 100%. Okay? If you feel that this is all you're getting right there, then chances are your settings in your tablet, whatever type of tablet you're using, need some tweaking, an updated driver, pressure sensitivity needs to be adjusted, whatever. So just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because it's not always as simple as understanding everything I'm telling you, and sometimes it's hardware related. It's not just software and understanding the program. So hopefully that helps you there, because I've got a lot of videos out there, and people will make mention of not being able to get the same results. And 9 times out of 10, that's the problem. And I am using a Cintiq, so it's easier to draw what I'm doing here. But especially for this type of study, this can all be done on what I also use is the Intuo series, and this can all be done on that as well. For sure. It's the thing that I find myself using the Cintiq the most for is my drawing. Like when I draw comics and I draw I don't want to say hyper detailed, but a lot of detail in my comic renditions. That's where I tense up and I need something with more pinpoint accuracy. But for painting, especially this type of painting, I would actually say that the other tablets are superior. So it's just my opinion. All right, so I've got a little more contrast going in here. Next, we'll probably get into a little bit of the bounce light to, again, add more form to this. I also want to give a little bit more texture to the rock shapes. So I've got little bits of this light source that are defining the planes. If you notice, I can get in there with just a little bit of this tone, and I can show a little more of that separation real quick and easy. I'm trying to trying to make these shapes look different. Not, I don't want this repetitive kind of effect going through the rocks. That'll make it look just weak, boring and weak and not just well executed at all. So trying to add little bits of variance in there. Now another thing I want to show you that's pretty helpful is once you have this selected, the layer, which I don't know if might have already mentioned this, but if I did, please forgive me, I guess. Right click and go to select from layer, create selection. So now that selection's there, we can add any number of effects over top and still confine to that area, but not have to paint on our existing layer. So it affords us another opportunity to edit our work and test things out. So let's say that I want to add some texture, a little bit more texture to this. I'll add a new raster layer right here because I almost never use vector layers. So now we've got this layer over top. I've got the bit of a darker tone and I've got my brush. I could go to a pencil or something else, but I'll just do it with this. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just test something out. This may work, it may not. But there's no harm, no foul. And I'm on a totally separate layer, so I don't have to worry about it. Not that I'd have to worry about it a whole lot anyways, because you could just simply paint it back. So that's already way too repetitive, and I'm just going to delete that. I don't know what I'm doing there. I guess I need to warm up on what I'm doing here. So basically, I just want to try to get a little bit more rocky breaks and texture in this, and failing miserably, but oh well. Just got to do it. Just got to go for it. Maybe it'll get better. And let's try some larger ones at first. Maybe I should do that. Let's try some larger shapes first. And it doesn't matter. It can look a bit out of place at this stage because of what I'm going to do with it. So it's funny how sometimes you just have to warm up to an effect. Not even to the drawing because I've already been drawing, but sometimes a certain effect. I notice it with hair. Like if I'm digitally painting hair or drawing hair or whatever, I struggle with it at first, and then all of a sudden, bam, hair. It's just really weird how that works. It's like just getting in the zone for that particular pattern or remembering the steps that you took that, the last time you drew good hair or something. I don't know. I'm sure there's some psychological thing going on there, but I don't know what it is. Alright, so there's some texture lines. Like I said, I don't even know if this will work, but I want to show you a variety of effects. Okay, so there's our texture lines, and we've got this set over here where we can control our blending modes and kind of play around and see what works. And probably a basic one here because I'm not really looking to add an actual effect to this. But what I'd like to do is I'll try the blend mode here for our blending. So we know we're going to get no paint. We're just going to blend. And I'm just going to blend some of these around because to me what I'm envisioning is that some of the areas are going to look like cracks and maybe deeper recesses, and other areas are just going to softly blend away. And to me that adds a little bit more of a touch of realism than just a bunch of lines throughout the rock formation here. And like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to keep this, but I can at least play around with it and see if the effect adds or subtracts away from what we're after. And this is actually a great way to do a number of things, like texturizing armor for a warrior, veins against muscles, any number of things. So that's why I want to show you stuff like this, because it does apply to lots of the cool stuff as well. So you can see I can just blend really easily, and obviously those are my settings there, combined with whatever settings I have for my tablet. So it blends really nice and easily. Now another thing that you'll usually see with breaks like this in the rock formations is a little bit of highlight on the other edge, the other side of them. So if you remember, I said, everything's kind of defined by the way that the shadow works against the highlight, you know. So if we take this and we use that same idea, we grab one of the lighter and brighter tones, we'll punch it right up, and then we can picture the way that the light will react off some of the, well, apparently brighter than that. Alright, you know what, let's just add another layer over top of that. Make sure that we got our light source. And I just want to add a few little highlights, and I'm going to quickly blend them back. So I want a highlight, but then, like I said, I'm going to quickly blend it back to where it's not as in your face, because it's quickly can become like overdone. So I just want a little bit of that in there. Okay, and let's pan back and see if that even helps it. So a lot of times what I have to do is make sure that when I'm adding effects like this, that it's not a distraction, that it basically helps the painting and doesn't distract, become more of a hindrance from the look. So I can see my highlights there. I can drop my crack textures back a bit there. You know what I think I'll probably do is I'll probably just tone these way down. I think that they are more of a distraction. Yeah, see, almost like more like that, where they're just very subtle. And the highlights I actually like in that place. Yeah, I almost like them without it, but I don't want to totally waste it. I'll just tone them way back. Maybe that'll help us in painting the rest of it. So now Command E again, and we've merged that all back into our existing layer. Command D to deselect our selection.